What's going on, my Niiji? What's good? I see y'all. Feathers up, baby. So, what's good, my Niiji? This is Dr. Sean, the motivational dentist, back with another video to help us continue this journey, this live awakening of figuring out who we are as Indians, as Niiji, as Indigenous sovereign people of Turtle Island. Listen, my terminology is through the roof. I'm learning so many new words to help identify myself. But in this video, I don't want to waste any of your time. I hope you guys had a good Wednesday. Yesterday was so weird for me, and I didn't really post. And I started to make like a why I don't celebrate Christmas video, but I'm in the space where I don't want to step on people's toes, but at the same time, I have to do me. So yesterday, I did not celebrate. This is my first year truly not celebrating. Last year, we didn't celebrate, but we still kind of bought gifts. So I technically don't consider that true awakening. This year, if you go back to a couple of videos ago, you'll see where I did some research first on Thanksgiving, and I scratched that I'm not doing that anymore. And then I did research on Christmas, and I said I'm not doing that anymore just because of what I found out. Now this isn't a video to talk about what I discovered about Christmas and Santa Claus and Saint Nick and Black Pea and all of the evilness surrounding the holidays and New Year's and Saturnalia. These words probably mean nothing to you now if you are not reading. Okay. But luckily, I did the reading for you, so you can go watch that. Yesterday was weird, guys. It was weird, my Niiji, because like I said, a lot of my family, we originated from the Mississippians, the West Indies, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, all of those. And my tribe is Muskogee, Choctaw, Creek, all of that, Cherokee. And a lot of them don't know, which is probably a lot of your family don't know who they truly are. If you're one of the first ones to wake up, or if you it's just a few of y'all who did the genealogy and you actually know, then yesterday you'll understand why I felt a little weird. My daddy knows that I'm on this journey, and he called me yesterday morning. He's like, Mary, I don't know what to say to you. And he didn't know what to say because I don't celebrate it anymore. And I truly didn't miss anything. I normally feel like, dang, I'm missing out on something, but I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, not celebrating anymore, because I know who I am and I know the true meaning behind the holidays. And I just wanted to tell you about a conversation I had with my dad yesterday because he's still trying to understand my perspective. And I keep telling him, Dad, you have to read. I did your genealogy because you created me, so I know that you're Indian, but you still have to go and read the things I'm telling you, otherwise it's not gonna make sense. So his whole thing was, well, um, he felt like Black people, aka Indians, who have been reclassified, hate on each other. We hurt each other, and now we're being racist towards white people because we're learning about ourselves. This is how he felt. And he felt like, I guess he felt like it didn't matter if we know who we are now because things have kind of settled down. So I had to remind him, listen, Dad, you are one of the ones who was targeted because you are chocolate. He's chocolate, more darker than me. I said, you were the one of the ones that they targeted when you were younger. They put this racism in the schools, in the system, and everything that you see around you is just so subtle. It's propaganda. It's on TV every day. People getting locked up every day for crimes they didn't commit. People are 21 times more likely to be stopped by the cops if they are melanated people and be harassed than if they are not. So it's that generation. I feel like my father's generation, a lot of them kind of fell for what the Caucasians were putting down, what the government was putting down. They kind of gave up the fight and they just started to settle, I feel. So I had to kind of juggle his brain a little bit to let him know it really does matter who you are. And this is the problem that we're having because a lot of the people are just like, well, I don't celebrate the holidays for the reason that they originally made it for. We got our own traditions. When actuality, you're doing everything. You're singing all of the songs that had nothing to do with us. For instance, the Jingle Bell song is related to war. When the man who wrote the Jingle Bell song, I think he was a soldier, and he used to write all of their songs related to war. When they used to come down, kill the Indians, go back to celebrate, they would have these songs that they created. They didn't even have anything to do with Christmas. A lot of the things that we attach to Christmas have nothing to do with actual Christmas. And Christmas, like I said, is just made up. And it's a holiday that wasn't even around in the 1700s, the early 1800s. So this is all stuff that are part of the propaganda. So he had a valid question though. Why are we hating on each other? And then I had to juggle his brain a little bit. And he even told me something that I didn't know. And he answered his own question once he started talking. He said, yeah, I remember. I said they taught us to hate each other in the schools by teaching us racism, white supremacy, telling you where you from, black history, and they know that you weren't black. They knew that you were Indian. He said, well, I remember in high school, and his high school was 6th grade to 12th grade in Wakulla County in Florida, which is a super, super racist area especially back in the day. And he said they would force them to watch the movie Roots in school, 6th grade to 12th grade. And they would riot every time because they felt some type of injustice. They used to leave out of class and the white kids would feel superior, start calling them Kunta Kinte. If you've ever seen the movie Roots, it's like the epitome of what they try to make our history be. So I told my dad, I say, now, Dad, when has the government, the school system, especially ones who wanted it to be segregated, don't want you to know your true history, going to really give you your history and force you to watch it? If that's the case, then something's wrong with it. Something ain't clean in the water. And he thought about it like, yeah, we used to fight them all the time. So that was one way that he recognized in his own life that he didn't even know was a moment where they were actually forcing you to accept white supremacy. They were enforcing your history. They didn't do genealogy on these kids. They didn't know who their family was, their dad was, their mom, their grandparents, what land they were from. They just said, this is black history. This is what we're going to teach you. So now it makes sense to the parents and people in Florida and all of the southern states and any other states why their history books only teach about what they want us to know. They're going to tell the kids that, hey, your people were slaves. They was on the boat. You were worthless. These white kids in this classroom is better. And I told y'all in the other video that they're likely to put the white kids in the advanced placement classes, the international baccalaureate classes, with the smarter teachers, with the more qualified teachers. The black kids are likely to stick in detention, remedial classes, and hold them back and give them grades that they really didn't earn. So this is where the hate is taught. This is where these things are taught. So just this conversation with my dad, I learned so much about what they were doing. And it's so enlightening to know the things that he knows about history and the things that they did to enforce this type of behavior. So that's why I said yesterday was weird for me. Having these conversations with people who don't really understand is kind of strange for me because I'm still learning. I'm still uncovering so much history and knowledge and reading and just in disbelief. And I think for most people, when they hear these things, they're just like, it's shocking. And my dad even told me, he said, this is what he said. Now he said, y'all ain't gonna send me to hell because we starting to wake up and tell him about all this Indian things. And I had to stop him and say, hey, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? He was like, well, I was always taught when I was growing up that Christmas is Jesus' birthday. And he said I was just always raised in the church. But what he doesn't know is that was their whole game plan when they came over here, to turn spiritual people into religious people. And it's not something that people who are spreading this information are making up. This is stuff that we're just reading. I'm just reading this stuff, like just in shock. And I had to remind him, Dad, your mom practically raised me because my mom died. My dad was in the streets being locked up, targeted by the popo. Okay. Locked up by the popo every year. And I had to remind him that your mom had me in church all the time, revivals, Fifth Sunday Union, choir anniversary, past anniversary, you know, long all week, just church, 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 to the point where it just take over your whole life, right? So I said, you got to know, I was one of those people who was deep into the church, deep into all of that. So for me, what really broke the camel's back is just reading. It was reading for me. It was reading the plot, reading the intention behind the people who gave us this religion. It was reading, what was the first church? What year was it started? People who was here before then, they didn't have a church. They didn't have this money. It was just reading and seeing their journals and just seeing how they had a plan to come over here and destroy a nation of people, to change their identity. I mean, it's just evil. And I think for a lot of people to transform their mind from a place where they know what they know now, they know about the church, they know about religion, they know about Christmas, to a place where it just sounds so evil, it's hard to believe. And I know for a lot of people, it's just hard to believe. For me, it was so hard to believe until I read. And then when I started reading, researching, searching who I am, putting the pieces of the puzzle together, now that I'm awake, now that I've awoken, now that I know the truth, now that my vocabulary is different, now that I'm not cursing myself, speaking these spells and believing all of this false information put out here for me to fall and fail, I can see all the hints about who I am everywhere in my environment. Even when I watch The Simpsons, I'm like, wow, they telling all the history about us on The Simpsons. But if you don't know that you're Indian and you associate Indians with being light skinned with like a different type of hair texture, and you don't recognize the dark skinned Indians, this is exactly what their whole goal was. When you see a dark skinned person, this person is beneath us. They're from the slave, they're from this. Not even knowing who you are. They teach a whole group of kids in a school just because of color of skin that you're from this one place. That's how racism is taught. So when you get older, you have all this anger because you already feel less than. You already feel like ain't nothing gonna work for you. You already feel like, the white people better, not knowing that these people or their ancestors didn't work for anything. They came over here to your ancestors, did so many atrocities towards them, stole their land, stole their food, bombed them, put them in poverty, enslaved them. They did everything and put them in the school, put them in the church, took their time away, made them work for money, and just changed their whole mindset. So to break free from something like that, it takes a lot of willpower. You have to really want to seek this information. So there's so many people out there just gonna battle. Well, I'm not this way. If you know who you are, then you know who you are. But don't try to push who you are on other people who have done the research on who they are. Like my dad, I could talk to him like this because I did his research. I'm his child, so I know where his father and his mother and where their lineages trace back to. I seen it, and he doesn't even know. We just don't know. But it's so good to have these conversations with our parents because they have a wealth of knowledge that we might not even know can help us on our journey. So that conversation, I realized, oh, that's what they were doing in the schools back then. They were putting this as a history lesson for the kids to feel that supremacy. They were making this a thing. Like, what? But when you wake up out of the matrix and you stop celebrating the holidays and you get back into your spirit and you start learning and being more about your tribe, your whole spirit changes. Like my whole spirit is different. And like I said, you'll see it in the clues. So one clue that I want to give to you guys today, and a lot of people probably already saw this, but it's a simple clue. It's the crayons. How many of us have, in school played with crayons and never thought anything about it? So formulated in 1903. It's the Indian red crayon. Right now it goes for about $10 to $20 one crayon, and it was changed to chestnut in 1999. But the Indian red crayon is chocolate like me. So they was like, oh, we cannot have this color out. It's gonna lead them to know who they are. So in this country right now, there is still a mission to cover up who we are. There's still a mission to keep us asleep, going to church, going to work, going to school, voting, being a part of the system and to not know who we are. And it breaks my heart that, I'm one of the first ones to recognize this in my tribe. And it kind of leaves you with the task of, wow, I have to wake my family up. But how do you do that, guys? How do you present this information to them to the point where they want to seek it themselves? Because my thing is, I can't change your brain for you. Just like nobody could come to me 5 years ago and tell me this and I would have believed them. 5 years ago, it was no, I'm a Christian. No, 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 no. It wasn't until I actually started to read. So that's one important thing for me is reading, looking at the clues all around you, connecting with like-minded people who also know the truth, because it's about knowing the truth. So many people get online now and they just yell and scream, oh, we're from here. No, 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 no. Don't even start there. Start with your genealogy. Start there so you can actually have truth about where you're from, where your people are from, not looking at the history books. Because once I read what Christopher Columbus did, like they just made up stuff as they came and changed names and killed people and all this stuff. I can't trust nothing that they wrote in the history books. I can't trust history books that highlight and glorify a group of people torturing another group of people. Like, I just can't get down with that. I can't get down with it. So I'm at this space in life. I'm headed into 2025, and there's probably a lot of us out here who are headed into 2025 as Niiji. Like, for the whole year, this is going to be my first year being a fully aware Niiji, a fully aware Indian, a fully aware person of who I am, where I come from. And I have a huge task to wake my family up, a family who is deep in the church, deep into religion, deep into a lot of that, deep into the traditions, deep into everything. They deep, deep, deep. They're deep. I was once deep. I really was once deep. I was deep into it, and it took a lot of like constantly in my ear to the point where I had to go and look it up for myself. But clues like the crayon, the Indian red crayon, clues in all of the books, it's just everywhere. It's everywhere. But the thing that I want us to know is that we are on the right path. We are on the right track. It's going to get hard. People are going to call you crazy. People are going to think you know, you're acting different. And you are, because you know the truth. And it's hard to lay back down, put the chains back on your brain, and shut the fuck up when you know the truth. It's hard. It's going to be really hard to do that. Like me, I know I'll never go back to that because of the things that I read and because of the things that I know. This is why knowledge is the most powerful weapon you will ever have in your toolkit is knowledge. So cheers to the people who did wake up this year. Cheers to the people like me who were asleep and finally realized, wow, I've been bamboozled. Okay? Um, so my thing is just to look for the clues all around you. They're all around you. For Christmas, not celebrating. Thanksgiving, not celebrating. Black History Month, I'm not doing it because these are Indians. We're Indians, and it's so hard to make that switch in your brain. Like, I'm an Indian, because we've been taught to colorize everything. Everything is about dark, black and white. It's not so black and white. You are somebody more deeper, more connected, more priceless when you attach yourself to your people, when you attach yourself to the truth versus just saying I'm from Africa. Because that's just saying, you know what, I don't care. My dad had that mindset a little bit yesterday, like, well, we ain't doing them but what they did, and I feel like, no, this is what they want us to do. Just accept the name that they give us, not go back in history and trace this. That would be too much like easy. That would be too much like easy to just lay down and accept what they give you. I'm not doing it. I'm not laying down and accepting it. I need them to, just like Plecker thought that he was smart after 4,000 years, to come and say, hey, nah, we figured it out. We finally got it, guys. We just gonna change their name to black. Or what he said, we're gonna change them from Indian and Negro. That's the key. There was no internet there, was no social media, Was nobody to keep them in check. And they said, oh my God, yes, you figured it out, Plicker. Oh my God, yes, change them to Negro. They'll never know. Tricks on you, boo, because we found out. The trick's on you, Plucker. You and your homeboy, CC, Christopher Columbus, and all the other ones. We figured it out. We figured it out. So this is what they thought. So my thing is, it's something as simple as saying, hey, since you change us from Negro to Indian, change us back from Negro back to Indian. But they're not going to do that. We have to do that. We have to know who we are. We have to make that step. Because their whole thing is to bury the seeds. They'll never grow. They'll never sprout. Don't give them water. Don't give them sunlight. Just bury them. They'll never know. Let's steal the land. So it's a lot of the older people, they're confused. Well, they think, like my dad also mentioned, he's like, well, we selling the land. No, they're actually tricking people out of the land. They're tricking people out of their spots, you know? And this is the battle we have, Niiji. This is the battle we have, to all of my people who are awake. This is the battle we have in real time, trying to get our people, our tribe, to realize that they are part of the motherfucking tribe. Instead of just being like, well, I'm just gonna lay down and stay black and die. Y'all heard that before, stay black and die? Nah, we're not doing that. We're not gonna just stay black and die. No thanks. The best gift that I could have received, like I told you guys in a couple videos ago, is knowledge. There was this song in elementary school that they would sing, knowledge is power. I know what I know. The more you learn, the further you'll go. If you get an education, you'll be taking a stance, because knowledge is power. Grab it while you can. The education is what you teach yourself, though. You can't rely on a history book from oppressors. You can't rely on the oppressor to be fair and tell you who you are. These people are immigrants. They came from Europe. They came from overseas over here to try to tell you who you are. It doesn't make any sense. It's all around you. You know, my high school mascot in Tallahassee was the Redskins, just like the Indian red crayon. I'm going to put it on the screen so you can see. But that color is a dark chocolate color like this. You see that? That's the color of the Indian red crayon. That was the mascot that I had at my high school, but they changed it, just like they changed a lot of things, so it can confuse the further generations. They changed it to the Raiders because they raided and took the land. It's just all around me. When I go back and I look and I read and I uncover and discover, it's all around us. So to the people out there who may get confused, like, dang, I don't know where to start on this journey. I don't really know how to keep the momentum going. When you find out that you're in it, you have to replace all of this knowledge that you thought you knew with new information. So for me, it's just getting new information. And I learned so much. And when you start digging, you realize what an evil past they created just to hide us, just to control us, just to feel supreme over us. And it's kind of embarrassing to do that to people, you know? And what I would hope is, as we continue this journey of discovery, self-discovery, getting our identity back, getting ourselves out of this identity crisis where everyone around the world is trying to tell us who we are, we got to do our own research and know who the fuck we are on our own. And that's what did it for me. Once I went back to my hometown, did all my research, and it started popping up. Dang, my great grandfather is from Huntsville, Alabama. So they migrated from Huntsville to Virginia to Alabama, Georgia. They're Muskogee and Choctaw. All of these names started popping up. What else popped up? The K. The triple K. They popped up, trying to harass these people off their land, trying to bully them. So when my father asked that question, well, they just giving their land away? No, they were harassed to give their land away. They were bullied. They were drug out of their homes and beaten and tortured. And, they had the Popo Patrol, the nigger patrol. So they changed the Indians to niggas, and then they had the nigga patrol, who are now the police. It go deep, guys. It goes deep. So this is things that you can't just lay down and say, you know what? Let's stay black and die and shit the fuck up. They ain't gonna change. It's better now. It's not better now. It's not better now when you have somebody like me who's an Indian having to pay to go to school, having thousands and thousands of dollars of student loan debt, having to work 2 and 3 jobs to get through college to try to make it to some place because of the oppression, because of that. To try to open up a dental office and to be so hard to figure out what I'm trying to do, get funding because of where I come from. Because I was one of those kids who was deeply impacted by racism. My family was deeply impacted by generational curses. I'm just a rare person, a miracle. Even though every odd was stacked against me, no parents. I didn't have no parents that, hey, mom, dad, I'm sure I need this. I had to go get 2, 3 fucking jobs because I didn't want to be a failure. I already knew. They taught me that I was a nigga. They taught me that my family came from, I got to prove them wrong. That was my whole thing. I got to prove them wrong. I know I'm smarter than that. Like, what? Did that. Did that. So it does matter because guess what? If I were in my correct identity, I would not have no student loans because the real Indians have those benefits. They don't have to pay for school. They don't have to pay for all the things because this is their motherfucking land. This is our land. But when you have me reclassified as a black person, as a black lady, I don't have no benefits because I'm an immigrant according to the government, which they know who I am. So I feel like that's so unfair. That's why the fight is so big because how do a group of people who are pretending to be us getting money and benefits that are owed to us, getting land that is owed to us, immigrants who are Caucasian coming over here getting benefits that are owed to us, and we just work. Like me, I thought I just had to work really hard, work 2 or 3 jobs, get through college, just fight for myself, even though it was hard. Even though I didn't have anybody backing me up, I got to be homeless 2 or 3 times. I got to sleep in my car 2 or 3 times. I got to sit here and just go into the hospital and see patients, leave the hospital, go sleep in the car, shower at the gym. I got to finish dental school and be homeless because I'm black. If I was Indian, it would be different. And that's the part where you can't just lay down because I had to do that. I hope the future generations don't have to do that because I hope and pray that people continue to wake up and realize who they are and claim our heritage. It's going to take more than one because there's a battle. There's a battle of people who are asleep who saying, nope, we're black. We're going to stay black until we die. And when we die, it's going to be better. We're just going to struggle until we old and gray and we don't give a fuck. That can't be me. Because when I realize the truth, it's like I need my benefits. If I don't get them, the future generation needs those benefits. Something has to change. And it starts with what? Knowledge. Knowledge is the power. Knowledge is the power. So every chance I get, I'm finding all this evidence. I'm collecting all this evidence so that I can continue to enlighten my people, enlighten my tribe, and be enlightened by the tribe, you know? And in every video, I just send gratitude and thanks to all the people who continue to drop those videos, who continue to find those receipts. And somebody found a rare receipt. I posted it in my stories. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians, 4 little, 5 little, 6 little Indians, 7 little, 8 little, 9 little Indians, 10 little Indians. You know, that do something to your spirit when you hear those little Indian children singing that song, being forced probably to sing that song. And they change that song, they whitewash that song, and now if you go on YouTube, that song has the pretendians pretending to be us with the song. You know, it's things like that that we just have to really pay attention to. Be aware of your environment. Be aware of everything you watch on TV. Be aware of everything that you're doing. You know, for me as a dentist, I'm in a strange space. I'm in a very strange space. I'm in a grateful space, but I'm also in a space where I'm trying to figure out, well, what the fuck happens next? What am I to do next? I've already went to try to change my ID from black to Indian. They said they don't do that. Everywhere we go, they said they don't do that. They don't have that as an identifier. So who is identifying us as this? Somebody's doing it. Somebody's doing it. So for me, just going into this next season, it's just about getting more knowledge, sharing more knowledge, and just continuing to wake up and figure out who we are, you know? So do your research, share the knowledge with others, and let's continue to grow, guys. Let's continue to grow. Let's continue to stand in the paint, even when people think you crazy, even when people think, you know what, you going off the deep end. Know that you read what you read and know that you know what you know. That's the biggest thing for me. And yeah, they don't tell me Merry Christmas. Don't tell me no Happy Thanksgiving. Don't tell me none of that. I don't do that. I don't do that no more. I don't do that no more. So I hope y'all have a good day. This has just been a short video just to express my mood, conversation I had with my father about how some of this information is forced into our brain. It's forced brainwashing, it's forced hate, it's forced um into the generation. So thankfully they stopped showing roots. But if they could, they would. They just wrote it in the book now like that. So you don't have to show the video. You're actually reading it and taking a test on it. So it's just a lot of slick stuff going on that's still impacting the youth, making them feel like they get bullied. People still getting bullied for having chocolate skin. Imagine if those kids knew who they were and that they are Indian. Just imagine. Just imagine, you know? And the last thing I'll say is I was talking to my dad yesterday. His biggest thing is with the Bible and religion. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm still working through to understand Bible and religion. And I just put this bug in his ear. And I know it's probably too much for some people, but when I realized that King James version of the Bible, he wrote a King James version. That's what they push over here. He also wrote the book of demonology. So for me, for someone who wrote, and I asked y'all this question in a couple videos, but he wrote the book of demonology, King James. So he wrote the Bible and the book of demonology. So when you go to do research on that, you'll be like, well, how could somebody who know demonology write the Bible? And one thing that really stuck out for me, and most people probably didn't think about this, I was even scared to research the book of demonology, but I had to, because knowledge is power, and I can't be scared of stuff that man made up. And it was like King James is the type of author, he writes in like story form. So he'll write, even with the book of demonology, he had characters and they would speak to each other, exchange information. So that was his way to write. And I said, well, damn, the Bible written like that too, with characters and they talking to each other. So I'm like, it was just too weird for me to find that out. So that did something to me. Like, if this man wrote the Bible, they around here killing people. He also wrote demonology and witchcraft and all this other stuff. And they wanted to force the Bible on us, and we didn't have a Bible. Now we stuck to go to church paying money. This money has murderers' faces on it. Some kind of way this is going to connect us to God. You see what I'm saying? It get all muddy, guys. It get a little too muddy for me. It get a little too muddy for me. Okay? So yeah. I think I got it all out. I will see you guys in the next video. This is Dr. Sean, motivational dentist. This is not anything to do with dentists because I'm a whole new dentist and a whole new identity. I'm now an Indian dentist, and I thought I was a black dentist, but I'm an Indian dentist. Oh, one more thing. I know I keep saying one more thing, but I was reading something yesterday, an article on the basketball rookie, WNBA rookie Angel Reese. And she came out and said she was talking about her mom being a single mom and her dad not being in the household because they broke up. And she was saying, like, they said, we heard that you have Native American roots. And she said, no, it's actually not Native American. On my dad's side, we're Indian. So this is information that's coming out globally. But the thing is, people say, oh, I'm a little bit of Indian. No, you're Indian, 100% Indian. And that's what people don't know. It seems like you're something else, but you're really Indian. Okay, I'm done talking now, guys. I'm done talking. I just had to get this out. It's been 4 days. And a lot of times I will sit and say, I'm going to do a video. The days go. And I'm like, I'm in this new identity. Do I drop this video? A lot of things I say, I'm not completely, I'm getting into my new identity. I'm getting into my new identity. And I hope you are too. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And I will see y'all in the next video. I see y'all to my Niiji, to my fellow tribe out there. Let's continue to enlighten other people. Y'all continue to enlighten me. And we headed to somewhere great in 2025. I think it's going to be a great year for the Niiji all around Turtle Island. I think it's going to be the year of even more awakening, even more discoveries of knowledge, even more of us just getting together, sharing this oral history, and being unapologetic. Period. Be unapologetic. Okay? Periods. This is your chief, this Dr. Sean, and I'm out.